Modern Indian history, important events of 18th and 19th century. It all started with that of Aurangzeb in 1707. He was the last great Mughal ruler, and his death marks the transition from medieval to modern India. His successor was Bahadur Shah, who was son of Aurangzeb. He was a broad minded, religiously tolerant, and peace loving people. Then we moved to invasion of Nadir Shah in 1739, who was an emperor of Persia. He defeated armies of Mughals, and Mughals' weaknesses were revealed, and he took Muhammad Shah as prisoner. And he returned back with huge wealth and took the control of Kabul. He gave lower importance to religion, and because of him, there was complete loss of central authority in India after the Mughal loss, and it revealed a lot of opportunities to Marathas. It was followed by three Carnatic Wars. It all started in 1746 to 48, where it was a subset or an extension of War of Austrian Succession between Britain and France. It ended with Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, and Madras was restored back to Britain by France in exchange of some territories of France in North America. In 1748 to 1754, we had Second Carnatic War, which was civil war of succession of Hyderabad, where French allied with Chanda Sahib Muzaffar Jung to bring them into power into Arcot and Hyderabad respectively. And to offset the French influence, they began supporting Nasir Jung and Nawab Muhammad Anwaruddin. The war ended with the Treaty of Pondicherry signed in 1754, and Muhammad Ali Khan was recognized as the Nawab of Arcot. Third Carnatic War is from 1756 to 1763, and it was extension of 7 years war, and finally it put an end to the French ambitions to create a colonial empire in India, and it ended with Treaty of Paris in 1763, becoming the last nail in the coffin of the French ambitions of an Indian empire. We move on to the most decisive battle in India's modern Indian history, that is the Battle of Plassey of 1757, fought between the forces of Siraj ud-Dawla and his French support troops versus the troops of British East India Company led by Robert Clive. The forces of Nawab were defeated and Nawab fled the scene, and there were a lot of traitors in this battle, including Mir Jafar, Jagat Seth, Amir Chand, Rai Durlab, and Mir Jafar is also known as Gaddar-e-Abrar. Battle of Wandi Wash in 1760, where British forces under Sir Eyre defeated the French in the battle and they besieged Pondicherry. The French forces in the south were led by Comte de Lally. 1761 marks the Third Battle of Panipat, where the Marathas were led by Sadashiv Rao Bhau and Afghan ruler was Ahmad Shah Abdali. The Marathas were badly defeated in the war, and it completely altered the power equation in India, and English East India Company consolidated its power in Bengal and South India. 1764 to 65, we have Battle of Buxar and Diwani Riots. Combined armies of Shah Alam II, Nawab of Awadh Shujauddaulah and Nawab of Bengal Mir Qasim were defeated by British force led by Hector Munro. Shah Alam had to sign Treaty of Allahabad in 1765, and British got Diwani rights as per treaty on Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. It also started the dual government in Bengal, and they got the rights to collect taxes. It is followed by Regulating Act of 1773, where Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal. Also, Supreme Court was launched in Calcutta. This regulating act passed by British Parliament to reform the administration in East India Company, and to all government in Bengal not favored, they were not to continue anymore. Prohibited the servants of company engaging in any private trade, and court of directors terms were fixed for 4 years only. 1784 marks the Pitt's India Act, where it was passed to address the shortcomings of regulating act. It made East India Company accountable to British Parliament, and Governor General Council Governing Council of Company comprised of 3 plus 1 members. It is followed by Third Anglo-Mysore War in 1790 to 1792, which was between Tipu Sultan and the British. It ended with the defeat of Tipu, where he had to cede half of its empire, and it ended with Treaty of Srirangpatnam in 1792. 1798 marks the coming of Lord Wellesley and his subsidiary alliance system, where he wanted everybody to accept British forces within their territory, pay for their maintenance, others should not enter into alliance without permission, and complete surrender of control over foreign affairs. 1829 is a very good year for Indian administration because William Bentinck he passed the Bengal Sati Regulation Act wherein sati was prohibited legally. In 1833 you have Charters Act where Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. First Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. Governor General of Madras and Bombay were deprived of their legislative powers. System of open competitor for civil services. Macaulay's minute policy related to medium language of education was also talked about. 1848 to 1849 is Second Anglo-Sikh War, which marks the end of Sikh kingdom. But like annexation of Punjab was completed by this, and Henry Lawrence was appointed at Lahore Darbar. It is marked by 1853, which is considered as year of reforms in India. First railway line was started from Bombay to Thane, and first telegraph line was started from Calcutta to Agra. All reforms were Lord Dalhousie's, who was the Governor General of India at that time. Then you have the year 1856, which marks the annexation of Awadh, or Awadh as it is called, through doctrine of lapse. It also marks the passage of Widow Remarriage Act, where widows were legally allowed to get remarried. Then comes the greatest of them all, the biggest battle, the Great Revolt, the First War of Independence. Governor General of India during this period was Lord Canning. There was growing dissatisfaction and discrimination among sepoys because of Enfield rifle cartridges, but there were a lot of other issues. It all started when Mangal Pandey fired at a British officer at Barakpur in March 1857. There was pathetic socio-economic condition of the soldiers, ill treatment of Bahadur Shah Jafar, Christian missionaries were converting the locals, there was a lot of corruption in police and administration. All this led to mutiny in Kanpur, Lucknow, Delhi, Gwalior, Jhansi, Ara, and a lot of other places. Finally, it ended by brutal suppression of revolt. 1858 marks the Government of India Act, wherein Governor General of India's designation was abolished and a new designation Viceroy was started. Also marks the abolition of company rule in India, and Office of Secretary of State for India was started, and Viceroy was responsible to Secretary of State, who in turn was responsible to Crown, who took the sovereignty over India. 1861 marks an interesting transition wherein Indian Civil Services Act and Indian Penal Code were introduced. It also talks about Indian Council Act, wherein 1833's Council Act's defected laws of centralized lawmaking were abolished. It also expanded Governor General's Executive Council, and it also marks introduction of portfolio system. And there was no distinction between central and provincial subjects. 1879 year marks the foundation of Theosophical Society by Madame Blavatsky and Colonel Olcott in New York, and headquarters were established in India in Adyar near Madras. Any Besant was closely associated with it, and it stood for comparative studies of Oriental religions. Year 1883 marks the controversy of Ilbert Bill. Ilbert Bill was introduced by Viceroy Ripon. It desired to abolish racial prejudice from IPC, and bill did not pass because it said that like Europeans can be tried by Indian judges. 1885 marks the establishment of Indian National Congress. The first session was held in the presence of lawyers, academicians at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College in Bombay to form the Congress Party. And first president of Indian National Congress was W.C. Banerjee, and Dadabhai Naroji gave the name Indian National Congress. The year 1892 marks the Indian Council Acts, which authorized an increase in the size of various legislative councils in British India. The universities, district boards, municipalities were empowered to recommend members to provincial councils. Thus, it introduced the principle of representation. And the last important event was 1896 when Ram Krishna Mission was established. It was enacted by Swami Vivekanand, who was chief disciple of Ramakrishna, and they took a lot of activities in healthcare, disaster relief, tribal welfare, elementary, higher education, culture, etc. Thank you.